Hello beautiful people, you're welcome back to my channel. In today's video, you're going to learn how to make this beautiful bubu dress with a stylish collar. If this is your first time here, you're welcome to Nazi Styles YouTube channel, and to my returning subscribers, thank you so much for sticking with me. Please remember to subscribe to my channel and turn on the notification bell to get notified each time I post a new video. Let's jump into the video. These are the fabrics I'm going to be using for this tutorial. This is an African print popularly known as Ankara in Nigeria. And this one is a Duchess fabric. This is the one I'll be using for the collar part. As usual, I've folded my fabric into two places. One fold will be for the front while the other fold will be for the back, just as seen in the video. Okay, the first fold is for the front while the other fold will be for the back. So this is the folded part, which is also the center back and the center front. From the top of the fabric, I came down by 1 inch and I ruled a line across the fabric. So that is where all the vertical measurements will be starting from. From this border line, which is also the shoulder line, I'm going to measure and mark my hip line. That is from my shoulder to hip measurements. Then I'll rule the line across the fabric. From this shoulder line again, I measured and marked the length of the dress. That is the full length of the dress. This is how long you want the bubu to be. Mine is a long one, so I measured about 60 inches for that. Then from that length line, I came down by 2.5 inches for the hem allowance. I will be making use of 3.5 inches for the neck width. So starting from that folded point, I will come in and mark 3.5 inches on the shoulder line like so. Starting from the folded part, I will measure and mark my shoulder measurement divided by 2. That is half of my shoulder measurement. Starting from the shoulder measurement mark, I will measure and mark the sleeve length. This is how long you want your sleeve to be. So I've decided to use the end of this Ankara as my sleeve length. From this sleeve length mark, I will come down by 1.5 inches and then connect to the neck width using my straight ruler, and that will serve as the shoulder slope. From the border line, I'll come down by 1.5 inches for the back neck depth. Then I'll use my free hand and curve it to meet the neck width. For the front neck depth, I'm going to be making use of 16 inches. I'll start my measurement from the border line to where the 16 inches is, then I'll place a mark at that point. On this 16 inches mark, I'm going to come in from the folded part of the fabric by 2 inches and I'll place a bold mark there. The next thing I will do is to connect this 2 inches mark to our neck width of 3.5 inches at the shoulder line using my straight ruler. I'll come over to this side. Starting from that shoulder slope mark, I'm going to come down by how wide and how open I want my sleeve to be. Okay, this is your choice. You mark how open and how wide you want your sleeve to be. and then use a straight ruler to reel it out. The next step is to determine how big you want this bubu to be, how wide, how much space you want inside the dress. So for me, I'm going to be making use of my hip circumference divided by 4 plus extra 4 inches for ease, plus another 1 inch for side seam allowance. From my calculation, I got 17. Now I'm going to mark this 17 starting from the folded part of the fabric. I will place that mark on this sleeve opening line first. Then I'll come over to the hip line and mark the same 17 inches on the hip line. Then I'll come down to this hem of the dress. I'll mark exactly the same 17 inches. Please, if you don't want yours to be as wide as mine, you can add only 2 inches to a quarter of your hip circumference before adding the 1 inch for the side seam allowance. The next thing I will do now is to go ahead and connect all these marks together using my straight ruler. I'll come to this sleeve opening line and I'm going to come in by 1 inch at this part and connect back to the shoulder slope. This is actually optional, but since I started doing it, I discovered that it gives the sleeve a finer shape. Then I'll come over to this part of the sleeve, this part that looks like angle 90. I'm going to come out by 1 inch there and use my free hand to connect it. So I can actually connect this without coming out by 1 inch, but the 1 inch is just a guard to the curve around there. Then you curve it out using your free hand. I'll go ahead and add 0.5 inch seam allowance along this shoulder slope for the shoulder joining. I've done that already off camera. The next thing is to decide on how deep you want your neckline to be at the front part. So starting from the shoulder, I'll be making use of 8 inches. That is how deep I want my neckline to be. So I'm going to place a mark at that 8 inches so that when I am cutting, I'll remember to place a little notch at that point. For the side opening or side slit, I'll come over to this side of the dress starting from the length line. Okay, I'll come up by 14 inches. This depends on how long you want the side slit to be. So I want mine to be 14 inches long. So I'm going to place a mark at that 14 inches so that it will guide me to make a notch while cutting. It's time for me to cut, and as usual, I'm going to cut out the back neckline first. Then I'll cut through the shoulder slants, the side, and down to the hem. My beautiful people, if you're getting value so far in this video, please hit the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell to get notified each time I post a new video. The next thing is to separate the back part from the front part so that I can cut out the front neck depth. Then I'll proceed to cut out the front neckline. Remember the 8 inches I marked from the shoulder earlier. This is the time to place a very tiny notch around there. This will guide you when you're sewing. I'll come over to the back part of the dress and place a notch at the center back. When you open up the front part, this is what it should look like. The next thing I'll do is to bring the back parts of the bubu and place it on top of these front parts, right side facing each other. I will arrange it very well, especially around the shoulder, because that's what I'm about to go and sew now. You can even make use of your pins if possible. Then I will take it to my sewing machine and sew 0.5 inch to join it at the two parts of the shoulder. After that, I'll come in with my measuring tape and measure round the neckline, starting from this front part, from one corner of the front neck depth through this back neckline. I will measure round it towards the other parts of the front neckline. So I got 46 inches as the round neck measurement, but when I'm cutting the collar or the band or whatever name, I'm going to be adding extra inches to it. I've gone ahead to cut out the band, and this is 50 inches long and 2.5 inches on fold. 50 inches long and 2.5 inches on fold. So because I am working with a very thick fabric, this is a thick Duchess, I didn't bother to iron any interfacing on it. But you can go ahead and iron an interfacing on any fabric you'll be using for your own collar for more stability. I've also notched the center of this collar, so I'm going to set it aside at this point and proceed. I'll also measure the sleeve opening, then I'll use whatever figure I get as the length to cut out the band for the sleeves, for the two sleeves. So here I've cut out the band, and the measurement is 2 inches on fold by the length of the sleeve opening. 2 inches on fold by the length of your sleeve opening. Because I want this dress to have two front pockets, I've gone ahead to cut out 2 pieces of fabric for that purpose, and it is measured 9 inches by 9 inches. Okay, and then I would love this plain material to be on top of the fabric, on top of the pocket, like so, at the tip of the pocket, and it is measured 2 inches on fold by the width of this pocket piece. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to take it to my sewing machine and place it right side facing each other, sew it like so using 0.5 inch. Then I'll go ahead and fold in 1/2 inch round the pockets. For the fixing of the collar, I'm going to bring it now and match the center of the collar. Remember, we notched the center earlier, so I'm going to be matching this notched parts to meet with the center of this dress, the center back of the dress, which is already notched. So you're going to be matching the two notch places together like so. Then I will use my pins to hold it round. I'm going to be pinning this collar around this neckline, starting from this center back. After holding it down with my pins, I'll take it to my sewing machine and sew 0.5 inch to join the collar to the neckline. Then I'm going to do that and show you the outcome. For the sleeve, I'll come in with the band, then I'll place it right side of the band facing the right side of the fabric. I'll also take it to my sewing machine to join it using 0.5 inch, and I'll repeat the same thing for the other sleeve. After joining the collar to the neckline, this is what it should look like. Okay, I would love you to pay close attention to what I'm about to do now. Then you come over to these parts of the front neckline. this part that has a four corner shape, you're going to notch 0.5 inch towards the seam allowance that we just finished sewing on. You carefully do this. Okay, you notch on one part and also notch on the other part of the four corner shape, like so. Please be very careful when you're doing this. Do not overcut. Make sure you're notching exactly at 0.5 inch. You do the same thing to this other part of the neckline. I'm going to be closing up some parts of this front neckline, and for me to determine where to close up, I will come now and I'll flip the fabric like so to the wrong side. Then I'll arrange it at the neckline very well. Remember that I want my neck opening to be 8 inches at the front part, so I will just cross check my measurements. Starting from the shoulder, I'll place my 8 inches mark there, and it fell exactly at where I notched at the beginning. I'm going to place a little mark at that 8 inches at the tip of the collar. This will guide me when I am sewing on this collar. After that, I'm going to take it to my sewing machine and sew the tip of the collar starting from that 8 inches mark to the end of the front neck depth. Please note that this is one of the methods of sewing this particular style. There are other methods of achieving this. This is what it should look like after sewing. Okay, now I'm going to bring it closer to the camera to show you the next thing to do. I would advise you iron this collar first and iron the notched parts very well first before we do the next step. So when you must have done that, what you do now is to tuck in this part, this down part that I'm touching, tuck it inside. Then you flip the material to the wrong side like so. When you come to the wrong side, you'll be seeing that part that we notched, the extra that is remaining around there. Now I'm going to take it to my sewing machine and sew it down like so. I'll sew it down together with the collar that is remaining at that part. Okay, after that I'll show you what it looks like. After finishing up the collar, I'll come in with my pocket pieces. Okay, this is what it looks like after attaching the plain part to the Ankara part, and I've gone ahead to fold in 0.5 inches allowance around the pocket piece. Okay, the next thing is to determine where to attach it on the body of this dress. If you want the normal placement of front pockets on a bubu dress, just come down from your shoulder to 20 inches. Okay, so you're going to be placing it somewhere around that 20 inches. But for me, I will not be placing it the normal way. I want something different for this particular dress. For the purpose of those that would love to place it this way, this is how to place it. Come down by 20 inches, then move away from the center front by 3 inches and place it on that part. Do the same thing for the other parts of the pockets. Then you go to your sewing machine and sew it round to join it to the front bodies. But for me, I did something different. So this is the way mine is. I brought the two pocket pieces closer to the collar and used it to form a tiny V shape at the center front. There is no specific measurement, I just placed it there. Then I'll take it to my sewing machine and top stitch around the pocket piece. I will do the same thing to the other parts of the pockets, and that is that. It's time for me to join the sides. So I will take it to my sewing machine and join these sides using 1-inch seam allowance, and I'll start from this sleeve area. I will sew it down and stop at the place I notched for the side opening, for the side slits. Okay, then I'll go over to the other side of the bubu. I'll also do the same thing for the other side. I'll start sewing from this sleeve area. I'll sew 1 inch down to the part that I notched for the side slit. That's where the slit will be starting from, where the opening at the side will be starting from, and the opening is for easy movement while walking. After joining the sides, I went ahead to finish up the hem of the dress. I've also overlocked all the parts of the dress. Okay, the next thing I will do now is to open up the side seam and press it. After ironing it, I'll either take it to my sewing machine and sew it down, or I use my hemming gum to finish it up neatly. And that will be the end of today's tutorial. If this video was helpful, please give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and turn on the notification bell to get notified each time I post a new video. And don't forget to leave a nice comment below. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in my next video. Bye.